dog. I saw you back there by the benches. You snatched him right out from under that stroller. Don't pretend you didn't. That's my dog. His name is Milo. Look at him. Look at him. You even left the tag on. You're not even trying to hide it. Give him back or I'm calling the cops right now.
This is my dog. His name's Bruno. Got him 2 years ago.
No, you didn't. I know my own dog. I know that face. You're lying. You can't just steal someone's...
For Travis Thomas, taking a walk in the park was part of his normal routine. But on a cool autumn afternoon, that routine was suddenly disrupted by a woman who saw a black man holding a French bulldog and decided a crime must be happening. Dawn Nestor didn't just accuse him, she shouted, she threatened him, and she tried to grab his dog. She had no clue that the glasses Travis wore were quietly recording every moment of her outburst in sharp detail. What you witnessed was a fantasy driven by bias. A woman so certain of her own story that she created a fake theft out of thin air. You saw the argument unfold. Now we're going to show you the entire story and reveal the moment the police arrived and the dog's microchip revealed the truth. If you care about dogs and can't stand unfairness, tap that subscribe button. Let's jump back to earlier that afternoon. Travis Thomas was 28 years old, a software engineer who worked from home in his apartment in Boston's South End. He'd spent the morning fixing bugs and staring at screens. So when 3 finally hit, he did what he always did. He grabbed Bruno's leash and walked to the park. Bruno was a 2-year-old French bulldog with a tan coat and a face that seemed constantly worried, the way French bulldogs usually look. Travis had chosen him from a litter in Vermont when Bruno was just 8 weeks old, a tiny wrinkled potato of a pup who fit in the palm of his hand. Now Bruno was 25 pounds of solid muscle and attitude, with a snort loud enough to wake anyone and a loyalty that bordered on clingy. Wherever Travis went, Bruno followed. They were a pair. Travis wore smart glasses all the time, not because he wanted attention or because he thought they made him look stylish, but simply because he was genuinely curious about the technology. As a software engineer, he valued how smoothly the glasses fit into his daily life. They captured moments without him needing to pull out his phone, recording video with a simple voice command or a tap on the frame. He had logged hundreds of hours of his life through those lenses. Coding sessions, morning coffee rituals, sunset strolls with Bruno. He enjoyed having a visual diary, a way to revisit and cherish the small moments that shape a life. He never thought those glasses would turn into proof. He never expected he'd need proof just to show his dog belonged to him. The park was gorgeous that October afternoon. Boston's autumn was at its peak, trees blazing in orange, red, and gold. The pathway through the park was paved and dotted with benches, favored by joggers, dog walkers, and people who simply wanted to watch the leaves drift down. Travis and Bruno had a special bench near a cluster of maple trees, placed perfectly to see the pond and the small arched bridge over it. Travis sat down, Bruno at his side, the retractable leash slack in his hand. This was their usual routine. Sit for 20 minutes, let Bruno explore, watch the world move by. It was calm, it was normal, it was exactly what Travis needed after a morning spent staring at code. Bruno was busy sniffing a particularly interesting patch of grass when Travis noticed someone coming. A woman in a beige coat with a man slightly behind her. At first, Travis didn't think much of it. The park was crowded, after all. But then the woman's pace quickened. Her expression shifted. She stared at Bruno with an intensity that immediately made Travis uneasy. And then she began yelling. The smart glasses recorded everything from Travis's perspective. You can see his hands resting on his lap. You can see Bruno's leash stretching down to the dog sniffing the grass. You can see the paved path and the autumn leaves scattered around. Then Dawn Nestor enters the frame, pointing, her face twisted with what she clearly believes is moral rage. Her voice is sharp, accusing, slicing through the calm afternoon like an alarm. "That's my dog! I saw you back there by the benches! You snatched him right from under that stroller!" Don't act like you didn't. Travis's view shifts slightly as he tries to process what he's hearing. The glasses record his confusion, the subtle tilt of his head as he attempts to understand the accusation. Bruno looks up from his sniffing, ears standing alert. The woman keeps coming, still shouting, her partner now fully visible behind her, arms crossed, silent but intimidating. That's my dog. His name is Milo. Look at him. Look at him. She's gesturing wildly, pointing at Bruno like he's stolen property, as if just being with Travis is proof of a crime. Travis's voice, when he finally speaks, is calm. The glasses capture it clearly, that steady tone people use when trying to diffuse a situation that makes no sense. But before he can say a word, Dawn continues her tirade. You even left the tag on. You're not even trying to hide it. Give him back or I'm calling the cops right now. The tag she's talking about is Bruno's collar tag, engraved with Travis's name and phone number. Bruno has worn it since he was a puppy, but Dawn isn't checking it. She's already made up her mind, and facts don't matter to her. Travis finally responds, his tone still measured, calm and deliberate. This is my dog. His name is Bruno. I got him 2 years ago. It's a simple statement of fact, not defensive, not aggressive, just the truth. But Dawn isn't after the truth. She wants confirmation of the story she's made up in her mind. Her reaction is instant, dismissive, hysterical. No, you didn't. I know my own dog. I know that face. You're lying. You can't just steal someone's dog. The glasses record Travis standing up. You can see his hands reach for Bruno's leash, pulling the dog closer protectively. Bruno is confused now, tail slightly tucked, sensing the tension around him. He presses against Travis's leg, the way dogs do when they feel unsure, looking for safety from the person they trust most. That's when Dawn lunges forward, her hand aiming for the leash. The smart glasses capture it all, her beige coat sleeve, her outstretched fingers, the desperation in her move. Travis instinctively pulls back, turning to shield Bruno. Don't touch my dog, he says, and there's a steel in his voice now, the calm starting to crack under the pressure of someone trying to take his pet. Her partner steps forward, moving into Travis's space, using his size to intimidate. He doesn't speak, but he doesn't need to. The message is clear. Comply, or this gets physical. Travis senses the shift, aware he's outnumbered. Aware that a black man in a confrontation with a white couple in a public park is already at a disadvantage, no matter who's right, Travis does what he's done since the incident began. He stays calm, keeps his voice steady, and he silently thanks the instinct that made him wear the smart glasses that day. Dawn now has her phone out. She's dialing, fingers shaking with what she clearly believes is justified anger. The glasses pick up her voice as she talks to the dispatcher. Dispatcher, that specific tone of performative panic some white women use when they want the police to take them seriously. Yes, I need help. I'm at the park on Commonwealth Avenue. There's a man here who stole my dog. He won't give him back. He's being aggressive. Please send someone quickly. Aggressive. Travis hasn't raised his voice beyond telling her not to touch his dog. He hasn't made a threatening move. He's standing still, holding his pet, trying to protect him from a stranger's delusional claims. But Dawn has cast him as the aggressor, because that's how these situations unfold. The black man is always seen as the threat, even when he's the victim, even when he's simply sitting on a bench with his dog. Travis pulls out his phone. He isn't calling anyone. He opens his photo gallery. The smart glasses record his fingers swiping through images. Bruno as a tiny puppy, wrinkled and sleepy in Travis's hands. Bruno exploring the apartment on his first day home. Bruno at his first vet visit. Bruno's first birthday, a small dog-safe cake, a tiny party hat perched on his head. 2 years of life together, 2 years of proof that Bruno is his, always has been, always will be. Look, Travis says, holding out his phone, look at these pictures. This is my dog. I've had him since he was a puppy. But Dawn doesn't look. She's too entrenched in her fantasy now, too committed to the story where she's the hero saving a stolen dog and Travis is the villain. Finally, her partner speaks, voice low and threatening. Put the phone away. The cops are coming. They'll handle this. And soon enough, they arrive. The smart glasses record every moment. 2 officers in uniform walking up the path, alert the way cops are when responding to a possible confrontation. One officer is older, maybe 45, with the worn face of someone who's seen too many ridiculous situations. The other is younger, still learning the ropes. Dawn immediately rushes toward them, voice high and urgent, tripping. "Officers, thank God you're here. This man stole my dog. I saw him take Milo from near the benches, and when I confronted him, he got aggressive and refused to give him back. That's my dog right there. His name is Milo. I'd recognize him anywhere." The older officer listens, expression neutral, then turns to Travis. "Sir, is this your dog?" Travis nods. "Yes, officer. His name is Bruno. I've had him for 2 years. I have photos on my phone. I have vet records. I have his registration. This woman is mistaken." The officer looks between them, evaluating the scene. He's dealt with enough park disputes to know someone here is clearly wrong, and it's his job to figure out who. "Ma'am, are you certain this is your dog?" "Absolutely," Dawn insists, her voice full of certainty, so convinced that for a moment you might almost believe her if you didn't know better. "I recognize his markings, the way his ears sit. That's Milo." Officer kneels down, looking at Bruno, now pressed against Travis's leg. His worried face seems even more anxious. "What kind of dog do you claim this is, ma'am?" "He's a French bulldog, fawn-colored, purebred." "And when did you supposedly lose him?" Dawn hesitates. "Earlier today, someone left him in a stroller near the benches, and this man took him." The officer raises his eyebrows. "Someone left your purebred French bulldog unattended in a stroller?" "Yes, well, no, I mean..." Dawn starts realizing her story has holes, but she's too committed to back down now. The officer stands, pulls out his phone, and makes a call. While he's speaking, the younger officer approaches Travis. "Sir, do you have any proof of ownership?" Travis shows him the photos, the vet records on his phone, and the registration papers he keeps in cloud storage, because he's the type to digitize everything. The younger officer scrolls through it, expression shifting from neutral to skeptical of Dawn's claims, but the real proof comes when the older officer finishes his call. "We've got a scanner in the car," he says. "If the dog is chipped, we'll know who he belongs to." Dawn's face pales slightly, but she nods. "Fine, check it, you'll see." The officer comes back with a handheld scanner, the type vets and shelters use to read microchips. He approaches Bruno, still pressed against Travis's leg, and runs the scanner along his shoulders. A beep sounds. A number appears on the small screen. The officer reads it aloud, then calls it in to verify against the National Pet Registry database. The wait takes only a minute, but it feels longer. Dawn stands with her arms crossed, still convinced. Travis stays quiet, knowing the result, but drained from having to prove ownership of his own dog to satisfy someone else's delusion. The reply comes over the officer's radio. The microchip number, ending in 4729, is registered to Travis Thomas, Boston, Massachusetts. Pet name, Bruno. Breed, French Bulldog. Registration date, October 2022. The officer turns to Dawn, expression shifting from neutral to annoyed. "Ma'am, this is not your dog. This dog is microchipped and registered to this gentleman. You filed a false report." Dawn opens and closes her mouth, looking at Bruno, then Travis, then back at the officer. But I was sure he looks exactly like..." The officer interrupts. "Like a French bulldog, yes, which is a breed. They can look similar, but this is not your dog. You've wasted police time and harassed this man. I could cite you for filing a false report." Her partner tugs at her arm, trying to get them to leave, to remove them from the situation before it escalates. But the damage is done. The smart glasses captured everything. The false accusation, the attempt to grab the leash, the frantic 911 call claiming aggression that never happened, the absolute certainty in her voice as she accused Travis of theft, and now the undeniable proof she was wrong. The officer issues a citation. The younger cop fills out the report while the older one takes statements. Dawn receives a ticket for filing a false police report and disorderly conduct. She's told that if Travis decides to pursue harassment charges, the department will back his complaint. Finally, she and her partner leave, her beige coat disappearing down the path, head lowered, her earlier righteous anger replaced by embarrassment. Travis sits back on the bench. Bruno climbs into his lap, which is a tight fit considering Bruno isn't a small dog, but Travis doesn't care. He wraps his arms around his pet and just sits, taking a moment to process what just occurred. The park feels peaceful again. The autumn leaves continue to fall, but something has changed. The safety of that daily ritual, the simple joy of sitting on a bench with his dog, has been disrupted. Because Don Nestor saw a black man with a purebred dog and couldn't imagine a situation where the dog actually belonged to him.
The only story that fit her biased mindset was theft. That evening, Travis uploaded the footage from his smart glasses. He didn't edit it, he didn't add any commentary, he just shared the raw video with a simple caption, "Accused of stealing my own dog, the microchip doesn't lie." The video went viral within hours, not because the story was rare. Stories of black people being accused of not belonging, of not owning their own property, of simply existing where they have every right to be, are sadly common. But the smart glasses footage was crystal clear, undeniable, perfectly documented. You could see Dawn's face, hear her accusations, watch the entire confrontation from Travis's perspective. There was no confusion, no he said, she said, just video proof of a woman inventing a crime because she couldn't accept that a black man could legitimately own something she assumed he shouldn't. The internet responded as it always does. Within a day, Dawn Nestor was identified. Someone recognized her beige coat, her face, and the park location. Her social media accounts were tracked down. Screenshots were shared. Her employer, a marketing firm in downtown Boston, was tagged in hundreds of posts. The company released a statement within 48 hours. "We do not tolerate discrimination or harassment of any kind. The employee in question is no longer with our company." Dawn became another Karen in the long list of white women whose racist actions were caught on camera and cost them their jobs. The nickname that stuck was Dog Park Karen. For Travis, the viral video was bittersweet. Yes, there was validation in the public support, in the thousands of comments from people who had gone through similar experiences, and in knowing that Dawn faced consequences for her actions. But there was also the fatigue of becoming a symbol, of having one of the worst moments of his life examined by millions of strangers, of reliving that afternoon every time someone shared the video or wrote about it. He just wanted to sit in the park with his dog. Instead, he became a living example of the ownership gap, prejudice that assumes black people can't legitimately own nice things. The ownership gap is real and widespread. Black people shopping in high-end stores are watched closely by security. Black people driving luxury cars get pulled over for random stops. Black people living in upscale neighborhoods are questioned by neighbors who assume they don't belong. And black people with purebred dogs, apparently, are suspected of theft because the same assumption underlies it all. You don't belong here. You don't own that. You couldn't have earned it. You must have stolen it. It's prejudice disguised as concern, discrimination dressed up as vigilance. French bulldogs in particular have become a status symbol. They're pricey, often costing thousands from reputable breeders. Popular with celebrities, they're trendy and desirable. So when Dawn Nestor saw Travis with Bruno, her mind couldn't imagine a legitimate explanation. A black man with an expensive dog must mean theft, not a hardworking software developer who saved and chose to spend his money on a pet he loved, not someone who researched breeders, visited litters, and carefully picked which puppy to bring home. Just theft. That's what prejudice does. It erases every other possibility and leaves only the story that reinforces existing biases. The police officers who responded that day saw it too. In his report, the older officer noted that Dawn had made the accusation with no evidence beyond the dog's presence, and that her insistence, even after seeing photos and registration, pointed to bias rather than genuine concern. He'd handled enough of these calls to spot the pattern. Someone notices something that seems out of place, and instead of questioning their own assumptions, they call the police, turning their discomfort into someone else's crisis. Travis's video ignited conversations about what people started calling pet police, profiling. News outlets covered the story, and civil rights organizations used it as an example of everyday discrimination. Dog ownership groups condemned Dawn's actions, reminding the public that French bulldogs all look similar within their color variations. You can't identify someone else's dog just by appearance unless you know that specific animal intimately.
The microchip industry also used the incident as a case study to highlight the importance of registration. Everyone had an opinion, everyone had a take, but the simplest truth was this. Travis Thomas was sitting on a park bench with his dog when a woman decided that his being black made him a criminal. She didn't check his phone, she didn't look at the collar tag, she didn't use any reasonable method to confirm her suspicion before calling the police, potentially putting Travis in danger. Calling the police on a black man is not neutral, it's a threat. It's weaponizing law enforcement based on race, and it can have deadly consequences. Travis was lucky. The officers who responded were professional. They used the tools available, the microchip scanner and the registration database, to establish the facts. They didn't automatically believe Dawn because she was a white woman making an accusation. They didn't automatically suspect Travis because he was a black man being accused. They did their job correctly. But Travis knows luck isn't the same as justice. He knows others in similar situations have been arrested, harmed, or worse. He knows smart glasses footage doesn't guarantee fair treatment. It's just evidence, and evidence only matters if people are willing to see it honestly. Dawn Nestard issued a public apology 2 weeks after the incident. It was posted on a new social media account since her old ones had been deleted after the backlash. The apology was carefully crafted, likely by a lawyer or crisis PR professional. She claimed she had made an honest mistake in identifying the dog, that she was concerned for animal welfare, and that she never meant to cause harm. She said she was deeply sorry for the distress she caused and was committed to learning from the experience. It was the kind of apology meant to protect a reputation, not to genuinely confront her own prejudice. Travis never replied. He owed Dawn nothing, no forgiveness, no acceptance of her manufactured contrition. She tried to take his dog, called the police on him, accused him of a crime he didn't commit, and put him through a humiliating public ordeal. An apology posted under social media pressure was not meaningful reconciliation. It was damage control. 6 months later, Travis and Bruno still visit the park. They still sit on the same bench under the maple trees. But Travis is now hyper-aware in ways he wasn't before. He notices who's watching. He notices when people glance at Bruno and then at him, as if judging whether they belong together. His phone is always close, vet records bookmarked, proof of ownership within reach. He learned that owning a dog, while black, means being ready to prove it at any moment to any stranger who decides their suspicion matters more than his rights. Bruno, of course, doesn't understand any of this. He's still the same goofy, snorting, wrinkle-faced companion. He still gets excited about squirrels and insists on carrying his favorite stick all the way home, even though it's far too big for his mouth. He still sleeps on Travis's bed, taking up far more room than any 25-pound dog should ever be able to claim. For Bruno, that day in the park was nothing more than a strange moment when an unfamiliar woman shouted at his person and then disappeared. He doesn't carry fear from it. He doesn't understand bias. He only knows he loves Travis, and Travis loves him, and that's all that matters in his little universe. For Travis, though, the memory remains. Not only in the viral clip that keeps circulating and recirculating, not only in the occasional call from reporters covering racial bias, but in the way he moves through public places now, the way his shoulders tighten when he sees a white woman approaching, the way he plans which parks to visit and when, choosing times with more people around, when there are bystanders, when he's less likely to be isolated if someone decides to turn him into a suspect. The way he always wears his smart glasses when he takes Bruno out, because he learned that innocence isn't enough. You need proof of that innocence, recorded and undeniable, or people will assume the worst simply because your skin tone makes it easier for them to picture you as a criminal instead of a dog owner enjoying a fall afternoon. Dawn Nestard saw a black man with a French bulldog and assumed something illegal had happened. She didn't notice Travis's college education or his career in software. She didn't see the 2 years of daily walks and vet appointments and training routines. She didn't recognize the connection between a man and his dog, the kind of connection anyone paying attention would instantly see. She only saw race and possession and jumped to a conclusion that validated her biases. The microchip proved her wrong. The glasses recorded her panic. The officers found no signs of wrongdoing. But none of that removes the truth that in Dawn's mind, a black man couldn't genuinely own something valuable without taking it. That's what Travis learned that afternoon in the park. That's the reality he carries every time he clips Bruno's leash on and steps outside. That being black in America means your ownership of anything, your belongings, your successes, your simple presence in public is constantly conditional, always open to challenge, always demanding proof. And sometimes, even with smart glasses recording every detail, even with microchips and adoption papers and photo records, even with the police confirming your story, the harm is already done because someone looked at you and imagined a criminal instead of a human being. And that snap judgment, that prejudice pretending to be concern, is the real theft. It steals your peace, your sense of safety, your ability to simply exist without defending your right to stand where you're standing, with what you own, living your life. Travis and Bruno still take their walks. Dawn Nestor lost her job. The video spread everywhere. The microchip showed the truth. But prejudice doesn't care about truth. It only needs an opening. And a black man in a park with a purebred dog was opening enough.